pay attention to how you make up. I just love this one. I keep telling you that there's this strange fascination with how problems develop. We're all so interested in who started and how it got going and what this is all about and whose fault is it. But we all know how relationship problems start. You started it. But there's a pesky little problem with approaching your spouse with that, because when you tell your spouse you started it, they'll turn to you and tell you what you did, an hour before that prompted that response. And it's that classic chicken or egg thing. You can go on forever doing that. Instead of analyzing how your problems start, take a look at how your problems end. Do you know that as ritualistic and robotic as we all are when it comes to starting arguments, because we talked about that before, people are equally ritualistic and robotic about how arguments end. We have patterns of making up. I call them truth triggers. And it's really important. I'm going to help you figure out, what are your truth triggers? How do you know when the ice is melting? In good relationships, there'll always be conflict. There will be. What separates the winners from the losers isn't whether there's conflict or not. It's how you get back on track. So I start to think about truth triggers and making up in my own life. Well, for me, I need one of two things. The first, I will stop the conflict if he agrees with me. That's always acceptable. I like that. The other thing that will get me to stop is when Jim sends me some sort of sign that he loves me, a sign of affection, a sign of connection. It could be a hug. It could be a comment like, it's such a nice day today. Why don't we go for a walk? We'll deal with this afterwards. Let's not do this right now. For Jim, he will stop if I agree with him. He likes that too. He likes when I'm on his side about things. Or if that doesn't happen, in order for him to get back on track after conflict, he needs time by himself to sort of de-escalate. He wants me out of his face. You notice a problem here? I want connection, and he wants me to leave him alone. We're in the midst of a heated conversation. The glazed over look in his eye that I see. And I say to myself, Michele, if you want him to be closer to you, to connect to you, no matter what you feel right now, you have to give him some space. And so I will muster up all of my personal strength and stop talking, which is a very unnatural act for me. And what I've noticed is that when I do that, shortly thereafter, it sort of varies as to how long it takes, but he comes downstairs and he finds me, and he'll say something goofy or affectionate like, okay, you want to make up? You want to be friends? Other times when we're in the midst of a heated, passionate argument or conversation, he'll stick his arms out straight as a board, and he'll go, okay, come here. And I dive in for a hug, and he gives me one of those plastic pats on the back, those sort of cardboard, there it is. Well, I don't care whether he means it, because I'm so grateful that he's extending himself in this way. So after I get my hug, I get myself up, and I'm very happy to leave the room, but I always tell people that my happiness doesn't compare with the ecstasy that he feels in watching me go. So what you need to ask yourself is, under which circumstances are you most likely to make up? How can you tell when you're ready? What do you do? What do you say? How can you tell when your spouse is ready? The more aware you can be of your truth triggers, the more cognizant you can be of, this is it, this is what we're doing right now. We can't pretend that we don't know that we are in the process of making up. You can consciously decide to implement making up behaviors earlier and earlier rather than letting bad feelings drag on for days. So that's focusing on what works and doing more of it.